Mr. Truck, I'm somewhere near Scottsdale, Arizona at the 2019 Ram 1500 drive, the first drive. And I'm sitting in the back of this cab. It's got 3 inches more room here and an inch more in the front. It's got a reclining seat like the Mega Cab. Oh, that's nice. That is comfortable. Now I can just let the grandkids drive and I can go down the road. We're going to take this pulling some trailers out here in the desert with all these giant cactus and see just how this new Ram runs. Come join us.
First drive for the all-new 2019 Ram 1500. You know, since we started our Ram brand as a standalone entity back in 2009, we've had a laser focus on the customer. The truck customer is different than all the other car customers, and this all-new Ram is a great example of our laser focus on that customer and all the hard work that everybody here in this room has put into making this the best truck available in the market.
All right, I'm in a barn at Ram for the 19 launch. This is cool. Anyway, and you are the big cheese in the engineering side. What's your name?
Gay Kent.
Aha, what's your position called?
So I'm the chief engineer for low voltage electrification at FCA.
Well, this new, what's it called, e-Torque?
Yeah, so this is our e-Torque 48 volt mild hybrid system. So this is our new technology.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to understand all this. So that's like a giant alternator, and it also is the starter. Unless it's really cold, another starter kicks in.
So we retain the 12 volt starter for the initial start of the vehicle. But this enables what we call engine start stop. So to be able to save fuel when the engine shuts down, for example, under city traffic or under those right conditions, this will quickly restart the engine. It's smooth, it's seamless. And so it's a much more pleasing experience, for example, for the customer.
Okay, so that's what it actually does. It'll run the crank and that starts it. Because I guess there's the crank right down there. Yep. So that serpentine belt goes all over the place. Goes to what is that, an air compressor for this AC?
Yeah.
And goes up here and it's got a pulley on each side. So it's tension in either directions.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So that actually can run the crankshaft, start it.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to try to understand, it's 130 pound-feet of torque is what it gives you extra?
So the maximum boost torque condition that we're using this at right now is during an auto start. So you can boost up to 130 pound-feet of torque.
Oh, just for stop-start, okay.
So during that maneuver. But we also use boost during some of the upshifts, downshifts, so to improve drivability. There's other ways that we're using this in terms of the drive experience.
So it smooths out the transmission shifts and all that.
Yeah, and then also after the auto start, there's the opportunity to do a little bit of blending there to, again, make a smooth auto start transition.
Okay, so that extra torque isn't for trailering or anything like that. It's mostly just to get you launched. Make that easier. So I keep thinking 130 pounds, boy, that's really cranking it up. Now we got some power. We can go tow straight up those mountains.
Well, you already heard, though, that we did increase the towing capacity. The other thing that's important here is the regen capability.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm used to hearing them about on the brakes, but yours doesn't work off the brakes?
So,
it works off the motion of the engine or deceleration?
Under deceleration, under light braking, we can regen and basically feed the 48 volt lithium ion battery.
All through that box?
Yeah, so in terms of the controls and what's happening here, we're able to feed charge the 48 volt power pack unit.
Okay, so that's why it has 2 pulleys on each side so it can reverse and have the same
because you've got bidirectional torque that you have to be able to maintain. So and we also went to this 8-rib belt too.
Oh, so it's a little heavier duty belt.
Yeah, so it's a heavy duty belt also.
Probably came off of a Harley Davidson or something.
Well, I don't know.
Well, that is cool.
Yeah.
So that's when the engine decelerates, it almost like not reverses, but it understands it's getting a different torque, and that charges it. That makes the alternator more powerful back to the batteries, right?
Yeah, again, you're regenning and you're pushing power back to the 48 volt PPU.
And that's what helps. I guess it helps you off launch because it's taking pressure off the crankshaft, so the engine doesn't have to work as hard, and that's taking some of that load off. Is that how it works?
Well,
it's getting you started.
Yeah. So during the auto start maneuver, the motor is basically adding torque, and it's spinning the engine up.
Okay, so it won't really make you take off faster. It just takes off smoother.
Well,
on auto stop start.
You'll get a chance to drive it at some point, and you be the judge. But it's it's fast, and it's smooth, and I think customers are gonna love it.
I'm in the trailers really big time, so that's what I'm hoping, that some of that gives you an extra launch at the stop. Other than stop start, it's not really made for performance kind of thing where it's easier to pull that big trailer from the stop sign.
Not at this time. Yeah,
oh, come on, let's do that. Let's give it some more oomph. Okay, well that's cool. And the transmission looks a little different. Looks like a all enclosed, and you look inside the shell, looks like a giant electric engine, but it's still an 8-speed.
Yeah, still an 8-speed, a wide range of ratios, the torque flight transmission, and again, we added a hydraulic accumulator to
That's
pre-charge.
That box there?
No, this is actually a heat exchanger.
Oh.
You can't really see where the hydraulic accumulator is internal.
Okay.
But basically, it allows the pre-charging of that forward clutch so that you're not waiting.
Okay.
The engine spins up to do the auto start.
Okay.
You're not waiting for the transmission line pressure to be.
Is line pressure up or down or the same? Line pressure.
Well, this is really about keeping that forward clutch charged. So,
Okay.
So you're minimizing any delay to the customer.
Is the torque converter the same and the clutch pack's the same, basically?
It's the same ratios as the prior year. I don't know if the torque converter, I'm assuming the torque converter also changed. I can get you that information.
Yeah, that would be nice to know if there's any big change there. Okie dokie. Now the differentials was interesting that you got water from the radiator going to the differentials to cool it off and to heat it up.
So there's this new industry first thermal management system. And so what I talked about was that there's a valve that's added at the front of the vehicle. And so once the interior compartment has been addressed in terms of, let's say, the heater performance, then the heater core works with this valving to be able to direct coolant to the rear axle to be able to quickly heat up the axle fluid, which is an enabler for efficiency improvements.
Is that synthetic fluid in the differential?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I know they started doing that, and that kind of makes it really thin, so it's not like the old thick glue you think of when 140 weight transmission oil or differential oil or any of those things. But now that makes like a lot of sense on a heavy duty application. I didn't know we really had a problem with that in the half tons. You guys thought that was a preventive maintenance thing?
When you're focusing on improving efficiency, so the viscosity of the fluid makes a difference.
Yeah.
And so we're using it here, and then under load, it can also provide cooling capability too.
Okay, so you got warm up and you got cooling. Well, I really hope that goes to the heavy duty sometime, because that is where I would really like to use it. And the anti-sway bar in the front is moved rearward.
Now you're out of.
Oh, I'm out of it again. Okay. Well, I heard that it was. I'll get some pictures here so I can know it's.
Can help
I guess there's more room on the backside of that too. I suppose that happens. That helps handling.
Along the line, since 2009, we've done a good job bringing more customers along for the ride as well. We've grown our sales from just around 260,000 up to almost 700,000 last year. But what I'm most proud of is we're keeping our customers. The Ram 1500 has the highest loyalty in the segment, so they really like what they're getting as far as a durable truck that fits their needs and also fits their lifestyle, which is great for us as we continue to grow the Ram brand. First, when you look at strength, the all-new Ram has got an incredible focus on reliability and durability, and it all starts with the frame. So we've done 98% high-strength steel. We've got over 50% high-strength steel in the box and around the cab. We've used lightweight materials of aluminum on the hood and on the tailgate, but we've used the high-strength steel where it matters and where our customers have told us they don't want any holes in their box. So we've made sure we've focused on that, and it delivers the strongest Ram 1500 ever, and that's really important to us. On the capability side, big increases, over 20% increases in payload and towing. The payload is 2,300 pounds now in the all-new Ram, and the towing is 12,750 pounds. That's incredible when you think about that. That's well into 3/4 ton territory, for this light-duty truck, and we're really proud of that accomplishment. One of the ways that we've helped deliver that is we've got new e-torque technology that we've employed in the truck to really help have extra performance and extra efficiency at the same time. Now that e-torque technology or mild hybrid technology is available. It's standard on our V6, which is the entry-level engine, and then it's also available on the Hemi V8. So the Hemi comes with and without. So that helps deliver all of that capability, and it comes with some great efficiency gains as well. We expect fuel efficiency to be 10 percentage points improved versus the outgoing truck, which is great when you look at the way the guys have got efficiency out of the truck and out of the engines.
Pounds of weight savings. The frame itself, 100 pounds of weight savings. Primarily 98% usage of high-strength steels and advanced high-strength steels. And if you take a look at the kiosk later, I encourage you to pick up the samples because it's notably the difference in between the weights. The black section and the colors coordinate with the kiosk. So the black is advanced high-strength steel. That's on our frame rails. It's 110 KSI. Our green, once again, advanced high-strength steel. It's at 85 KSI. We use it in strategic locations like our rear for some impact. Also, our C-pillar mounts or A-pillar mounts we connect our lower control arms. Also, as we walk through the frame, use high-strength steel and how we integrate it in the frame. It's a double shear, welded on both sides. Once again, providing that strength within the frame. We do use aluminum on the frame, and strategically, like our transmission cross member, we use as aluminum. That's in the gray section, and then also a small cross member underneath the engine. From a passive crashworthiness side, if you take a look at the front splayed rails, these are specifically engineered at 23-degree angles for front impact and for offset impact. They're octagonal in shape, they're mandrel formed, they vary in thickness from 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters within that process, strategically engineered to absorb that impact, that crash impact energy, prior to getting to the front wheel. Once it gets through to the front wheel, we have wheel blockers on both sides, these tubes here, and it protects it from coming into the cabin. These are available on all of our frame sets. Vehicle dynamics, we'll hit a couple points on that. Front suspension, we improved our roll stiffness 20%, primarily by taking our front stabilizer bar and we flipped it behind our rear tire, basically 180 degrees, really gives you a good feeling. The lower control arms are aluminum, the upper control arms are composite, stamped steel with nylon reinforced overmold. Strengthens the front suspension to a point now we can run 22s on our 4x4 package if we care for that. Rear suspension. We continue with our class exclusive 5-link rear closed. And I mentioned that we increased our payload. We didn't deter from the ride because now we have variable rate rear springs. Really nice feature. Our shocks, 4-corner FRD shocks. They're frequency response dampening shocks. In essence, it's a dual valve shock. Best combination of ride handling and comfort which you'll experience today. Our cab mounts, we tuned in all of our cab mounts. We have now hydro mounts on our C-pillar. It takes up that torsional load. It's a little bit of that head toss that you get if you drive down the road. Rear suspension before we get into the air. As far as we do have an off-road package. It's a 1-inch lifted steel package, specifically engineered with our points relative to our geometry to the rear axle to give you a connected feeling on a 1-inch lifted truck. Brakes, mentioned that we're going for best-in-class brake stopping distance. We've increased our rotor size an inch, so we're 14.9 on the front, 14.8 in the rear. Our pad thickness, our pad area has increased by 18%. Let's talk about the air suspension now. We continue with our Gen 2 air suspension. Our geometry points have changed slightly for improved ride, and also comes with function. So 1-inch lifted from normal ride height, that's our off-road 1, 2-inch for off-road 2, And then we have an aero mode from normal ride height that speeds above 60 miles an hour. It drops 6 tenths of an inch. Then we have an entry and exit mode. That drops it 2 inches. Really good for getting in and out of the vehicle. Also for getting cargo in and out of the rear of your pickup. One other before I hand it over to Gay is these modules right here. These, they are our ATMM, our Active Tune Mass modules. What they do is they enable us to extend our fuel saver mode. Our fuel saver mode is when our Hemi engine goes into 4-cylinder mode. And we've pushed that calibration more, and what happens is you get a little vibration, you get a little bit of auto. These take care of the vibration. There's sensors on the frame. When the frame picks up that sensation, they shake internally 180 degrees out of phase, and they cancel that vibration. So the customer feels nothing in the steering wheel or the seat or the floor. I mentioned there's an audible side to this as well. That's why we have ANC on our pickup trucks, 4 microphones in the headliner, and then we pump that noise cancellation through the speakers and the subwoofer. Only thing the customer, he just enjoys better fuel economy. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gay Kent. She's going to take you through the powertrain efficiencies. Thank you.
Good morning. We have a list of powertrain improvements and technologies that I'll cover with you. But first of all, just to restate the goals. First of all, improve fuel economy, improve performance, drivability, and then also add capability so that we can support the actual payload and the trailer towing capability. So let's start with the legendary Hemi. Variable valve technology here. And we have a broad range of performance, avoiding the peakiness or lag that may exist in the turbocharged engine. We have 410 pound-feet of torque, 395 horsepower, and we're introducing our e-torque mild hybrid technology. First in the industry, in this market segment, at this voltage level 48 volt system, and also to this extent. So in terms of this technology, what we're doing is we've replaced the conventional alternator. So we now have a heavy-duty motor generator unit, and it's paired with what we call a power pack unit. It's a 48-volt power pack unit, lithium-ion. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But with that system, we've got basically 4 things that we're doing. First of all, as I said, we've replaced the generator, so we're now supporting the 12-volt battery and the 12-volt charging system with our e-torque system. And so that's one of the first key functions. Secondly, we are now offering engine start-stop functionality. And the beauty of this configuration is that it's faster and it's smoother, so that when you restart the engine, compared to a 12-volt starter-based system, for example, the engine starts up very quickly, less than half a second, very smooth and seamless for the driver. The other thing we're doing is we're able to boost torque and blend torque. And so from the standpoint of how we're able to use this motor, just to give you an example, during the start-stop functionality, we can boost up to 130 pound-feet of torque during an auto start, 16 horsepower. The fourth functionality that we have here is what we call regen. So if you're decelerating or light braking, we're able to regen the energy and basically charge feed that 48-volt power pack unit. Other ways that we're using the boosting and the blending, if you think about shift transitions, and even with our deceleration fuel shutoff, we can now use that feature all the way into 3rd gear because of the enabling contribution of this mild hybrid system. So relative to the 48-volt power pack, you don't see it here, but it's mounted interior to the cabin. It's on the rear face of cab behind the seat, so it's not compromising the cargo area. It is a 12-cell lithium-ion, nickel, manganese, cobalt chemistry in those cells. It's about the size of a small suitcase or a briefcase, and again, it's mounted on that back wall. So it has the benefit of the conditioned temperature in the occupant compartment, but it also has dual fans that are also there to provide cooling. So as far as fitting this motor, obviously we had to change the front end accessory drive. So we now have a dual plane configuration, 2 tensioners. We have an 8-rib belt now that's a high-strength belt to be able to handle the bi-directional torque that our heavy-duty motor generator is providing. So again, focused on fuel economy and efficiency, but also drivability and performance improvements. What I'd like to do now is walk just past you, sorry.
Go for it.
And let's talk a little bit about the transmissions here. So all of the Ram trucks will be offered with this 8-speed automatic transmission. This configuration here is a ZF transmission. Changes for the new Ram, for example, we have added a hydraulic accumulator. It's a key contribution when you think about the engine start-stop functionality. This basically pre-charges that forward clutch so that when the engine starts up again, you're not waiting for the transmission. You basically get instantaneous performance from the transmission. We also have faster processing time. The transmission controller, the engine controller, the hybrid controller, they're all working together. So we have a faster processing time, and we also have 40 shift maps, basically, that the transmission is determining which one is needed, depending on what's happening with the vehicle conditions. Moving on to the transfer case. So we have 2 transfer cases available. One is the driver selectable, and then we also have the on-demand system that senses wheel slip. The BorgWarner transfer cases have both been upgraded to address the requirements of added capability, so hardware changes, loop changes internal to the transfer cases. As far as our rear axles, we have 3 rear axle ratios that are offered. We already talked about the 6 lug hubs that have been added to address the payload and towing capability increases. The rear axle, you can get open differential, limited slip differential. The new feature here for the Ram in 2019 is that we have an electromagnetic locking differential. So Ryan showed you where the controls were located beneath the rotary switch, so the driver can actually choose to lock the rear differential depending on their conditions and to obviously maximize torque. That clutch will actually lock up to 50 RPMs, and then it will unlock below 25 miles an hour, and it will stay locked for the driver until they deselect it, basically. Finally, we've added a thermal management system. This is a first in the industry. You don't see the plumbing here, but the rear axle, we've actually added a 3-valve configuration at the front of the dash. And what we do now is that after the interior comfort has been reached in terms of the heater core, the valve shoots coolant back to the rear axle so that we're quickly warming up the rear axle fluid, again, focusing on efficiency. And so that's an enabler to help us improve fuel economy. Similarly, we have a transmission heater that we're also using, again, to quickly heat up the trans fluid. And obviously, these elements are also useful in cooling under high load. One thing I didn't mention was we've done away with the traditional engine clutch fan driven off the front of the engine. We now have an electric fan. It's an 800 kilowatt. It's an 850 watt fan that is now on the front clip. It's pulse width modulated, controls lower mass, reduces parasitic losses. So again, you can kind of see the theme here. I'd also like to touch on our Pentastar engine here real quickly. So this will be the base engine, and again, it's fitted with the mild hybrid system. So in this configuration, we'll be adding up to 90 pound-feet of torque, or 12 horsepower, again, during the auto start maneuvers. The engine is rated at 305 horsepower, 269 pound-feet of torque. And some of the technology changes, again, variable valve technology, a broad torque range here. You'll have 90% of peak torque between 1800 and 6400 RPM. And then also we've added a 2-step variable valve lift technology, which blends fuel economy and performance. So if the driver demands more performance, that lift position changes and provides the additional power.
I want to show you, we've got a trailer hitch demonstration here, but we want to give you kind of a real world example of how the Ram can give you a combination of capability, technology, and luxury all wrapped together in a way that can make your life a little more simple. In the trailer, to make it real easy, this is a real world situation. You take your trailer out of the field lineup, and now we've got the air suspension all the way down, right? And he's backing up with the use of the zoom on the camera in order to line up perfectly with the trailer. And now he's going to take the air suspension and let the air suspension do all the heavy lifting for the trailer. So you don't have to get out, you don't have to line up, you don't have to have somebody else, your spouse, get out and line up the truck. You don't have to crank on the trailer 100 times. The Ram is doing all of the heavy lifting for you. So the air suspension is going to lift up, take all the weight off of the trailer, and that's the best part of luxury. It's doing all the heavy lifting for you.
Saves a lot of frustration. Great.
Yeah. Yep.
I like to buy one.
Yes. There you go. Oh yeah, 100 times. Especially if it's alone, you're getting out. Oh man.
Tons of pickup truck questions, right?
Right. Where do we go for the answers?
We go to the Truck Nuts book.
Because we're truck nuts. And we wrote the book, Truck Nuts. We're nuts about truck. The ultimate guide to buying a truck, or to looking at a truck, or judging a truck. You know, whether it's diesel versus gas, new versus used, what your teenagers should learn about trucks, all that. You do all kinds of cool tests.
Yeah, we do a lot of testing. We do the iGauntlet, world's toughest towing test, up the mountain and down the mountain. We do MPG testing on the highway, loaded with trailers.
Yeah.
We do off-road testing. A lot of that data is in this book as well, and it's a one-stop shop for truck information.
That's true. We test trucks, maximum capacity, up to the biggest grades you can do on the interstate.
Yep.
So we really put them to the test. And, you know, you can get all the facts you can't find anywhere else. We do MPG tests, which you can't find on any sticker anywhere. So, you know, all that stuff that you can't find is in the book.
And you can find the book at trucknutsbook.com. There are links to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all the other bookstores as well.
So read about your truck nuts.